Good morning. I hear over and over again, I can't do my job. I can't do my job. My back won't let me do it. My job is way too hard. I can't do it anymore. And the thing that's getting lost with a lot of people who this happens to, and it's not unusual, um, and it's terrible when it happens. I mean, when you can't do the job you did for the last 20 years or 30 years because physically you simply don't have that kind of other strength anymore. It causes a lot of pain. Can you guys hear the birds going crazy? Um, yeah, and I am going to bring one in one of these days soon, I promise. So, but the focus is still like not enough word seems to be out there that, there's a sequential evaluation process that the SSA goes through. And after 1, 2, and 3, we come to 4. Can the individual perform their prior work? Some people have it in their head that that is the end game. If I can't do my prior work, I'm in, because they can't expect me after working for 30 years or 20 years to do something different. They certainly can't expect me to take a minimum wage job that's much easier. I can't live on that. They can't make me do that. They're not going to make you do anything. But the point is, if you don't prove more than just the fact that you can't do your prior job, the vast, vast, vast majority of people will be required to lose under the rules, because it is not about protecting you if you can't do your prior job, but you can do others. It's about protecting you when you can do none. Okay. So you have to focus on getting past your prior job. Yeah, you have to prove you can't do that one. That's step 4 of the sequential process, right? But then once you prove that is true, I cannot do my prior work, then you get the privilege of going on to step 5. If you didn't prove that you couldn't do your prior work, your story would end there. Your claim would be over and you would be denied a step 4 denial. You get to go on to step 5. And now the burden switches a little bit, and the SSA has to prove that there are other jobs that you could do. And as you know, in step 3, they figured out what is your residual functional capacity despite these very serious impairments. What else can you do in terms of day-to-day functioning? And that's when they look at, what are you doing in your day-to-day functioning? Are you going to the grocery store? Are you socializing with friends? Are you doing house chores? Are you, to what degree are you walking around your house, in your community? What are you doing? Because those activities of what you are doing in your day-to-day are going to help anyone paying attention figure out, well, what could you do in the real world 8 hours a day? Could you do that sedentary job? Oh, you can't sit that long? Could you do a sit-stand option job for 8 hours? There are some jobs that you're not required to sit the whole time. You can get up and do some of your work standing up. Likewise, they don't require you to be sitting up the whole time. You could be sitting down and doing that, bench work, doing whatever's in front of you, but you can do it from sitting or you can do it from standing. And that is a kind of job that they will pull out and use as examples. They usually pick 3 examples of what you can do despite your severe impairments and limitations after they've agreed fully that you can't do your prior job. Okay, so you need to be looking at those things. So what if you can scrape by and do sit, stand, option job? There's a very good chance someone who can't sit long and can't stand long can't do a sit, stand, option job, but they lack the proof. You have to really go to town and prove that the impairment's going to have to be something that the SSA has kind of, in my opinion, embraced as being capable of reducing someone this much. It's going to be very hard to prove that with a garden variety, but serious back issue. It might have to be something a little more severe kind of back issue. But you can carve out many of those sit, stand, option jobs, perhaps, if you happen to have issues, using your hands or your arms in front of you all day long. Because remember, we were talking about, well, if you can alternate when you want and sit, when you want and stand, and you want and keep working, What's the big deal? There are jobs you can do, and they'll find you not disabled. But look at what those other jobs require. Some of them might require close-up visual acuity, or the ability to change from close-up to a little further away, close-up, and have really good eyesight. If you don't have that kind of ability, and you might with glasses, but you might not. But that's certainly something you can't just claim. If you think it's true, you've got to go get the medical proof. Go get the testing done, you know? I was alluding to hands before. If your hands, you could have arthritis in your hands. You could have wrist issues, carpal tunnel syndrome, some sort of ulnar issue, shoulder issue. I don't see this addressed a lot, but I always zone in on it. If we have to do a job, sitting or standing, doing, assembly work, perhaps, putting things together in front of us, little things, small parts assembly. What if you have issues with your shoulders? Can you hold your arms out there and do that? Like, test yourself and find out. If you can't, even though you didn't have a shoulder injury, you might have deterioration in your shoulders, arthritis. It happens as we age. It happens probably even more so for people who had to use their shoulders very exertionally in the past, but not necessarily. Carpal tunnel, a lot of office workers who worked in an office for 20 years typing away, they might have carpal tunnel. And although there are releases and surgeries that alleviate much of it, oftentimes there's a residual, and it's not, it's not all that. So you need to find out, but don't forget to look at these body parts, even though they're not the ones that even like stopped you from your job. You need to prove all those other jobs, right? So, and those can help you get rid of those sit, stand option jobs. Not necessarily all of them. I don't even know if they have a cohesive list of all of those, but it's funny how they crop their little ugly heads up throughout a case. So you want to be ready to address that. If you can't sit long and you can't stand long and you think game over, not so. You need to address that sit, stand option type of work. So maybe we'll go into that a little bit more in a different video, but I wanted to drive home. Do not just look at your old job. I see it time and time again. I see it a lot in question number 5 on the function report. They're talking about their old job and why they can't do it. But I really want to see you address tasks that go beyond your old job and what would prevent you from another kind of job, a super easy job, like some of the ones we just mentioned. It could be the sit stand. You could do that for 4 hours. You just can't do it for 8 because even that will slowly, your ability to keep back the pain by changing the position does not last for 8 hours. That's what gets you to be able to do 4 hours. Otherwise, you couldn't do 4 hours of sitting. But sit stand option, maybe you could do 4 hours of sit stand, but you can't do 8 because you got to go lie down and take that pain med and get that humming back down to normal. Or it could be your SI joint or your knees, or your hips. Sometimes it's your neck, surprisingly. Your neck does a lot of work holding up our noggins, right? Those brain-filled heads of ours. But so you definitely need to think of all these little other things that will carve out all those other jobs. And that's just a few of them that might help you. Okay, remember, it's not just your old job, it's all those other jobs. Don't rest on your laurels with the fact that you can't do your old job. That's the easy part to prove. All right, bye.